Whosoever finding Christ in the book of Proverbs also contains some very straightforward and now almost prophetic when you think about what's happening today. Commentaries as we look at the news today and see what's happening in the world today. There's so many things happening in the world right now that we all know of. The unrest in the Middle East, the devastation in Japan. And I'd like to read something that I wrote in Whosoever back in 2007. I start with a quote from Abraham Lincoln. "You can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time." That's from Abraham Lincoln. "The mark of a great leader is that of having the guts to do something you know is right, but will carry with it opposition and unpopularity. A great leader will consult with a host of advisors and make decisions based on the greater good of all. A great leader will make decisions knowing that a heavy price may be paid in order to achieve victory." Almost 40 years later, we still hear complaints and arguments against the war in Vietnam. Whether it was right or wrong, I will not debate. What I can say is that the people who made those decisions fully believed that they were doing the right thing to protect our freedom at the time. I believe the same can be said about the war in Iraq. 50 years from now, people will be complaining and arguing about it. But who can argue that ousting a man who oppressed his people while he held residence in 8 different opulent palaces, complete with every amenity, fixed every election, and was supportive of terrorists, was wrong? Who can argue against allowing a madman with a proven record of terror against his own people and with the potential to eventually obtain massive military might to stay in power? Whether the war in Iraq has been handled correctly is not my point, but I believe that the right thing was done in cutting off an evil root that would eventually bring more terror, directly or indirectly, to the USA and Israel. Then I quote Proverbs 28:16 and 7, which I believe ties into what's happening. "A leader who is a great oppressor lacks understanding, but he who hates unjust gain will prolong his days. A man who is laden with the guilt of human blood will be a fugitive until death. Let no one support him." And then I went on to quote Jesus in Matthew 24:6 and 7, where Jesus says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation." Isn't that the civil wars that are happening right now? "And kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." Tell me that Jesus doesn't speak the truth. We are witnessing it today. Jesus is telling us that because of the sinful nature of man, there will always be conflict in this world. I have not heard of a time in world history that there hasn't been a conflict or outright war happening. I believe there will never be a time of world peace until Jesus returns. And you can find all that in Revelation chapter 21 and 22. I've just read 2 short passages from this book,